Hey guys, this is Mr. Morel. I know this is kind of a weird change in picture happening here, but we're going to go over homework assignment 8.8, and unfortunately I can't use a graphing calculator using the other software that I normally use. So I'm going to do my best to make this work while holding my camera with one hand and writing with the other and using a calculator. So it'll be something else. Here we go. These lessons have been about standard deviation, and this worksheet is going to cover both the mean and the standard deviation of different groups of numbers. Now, we've already talked about mean is just one of the averages that we can find. It's a way of saying what's normal, and standard deviation is a little tricky. I guess the best way that I can explain it to ninth graders is it's a way to measure how weird you can get before people start calling you weird. Because not everybody's going to be the same, so we're going to find these mean numbers, and according to the mean, that's what's normal. But then the question is, how far can we get away from normal before it's kind of a weird piece of data? And that's what a standard deviation is. So it just kind of tells you the shape, well, not necessarily the shape of your histogram, it tells you kind of how spread out your histogram is. Okay? So I know that's a little bit tricky and it's a little tough to wrap your mind around, but that's kind of all you need to know is when we find a standard deviation, if our standard deviation is big, that means our data is really spread out. And we'll see examples of this. If our standard deviation is small, it means that our information is really close together. Okay? So here we go. Question 1 is going to ask us, it tells us that the cost of a can of Diet Coke in 6 different shops are, and it has 47p, 49p, 50p, 44p, 48p, 44p. If you want to think of those as pennies, you can. I think the writer of this worksheet meant that as pence. For whatever reason up here, this is Culture Day, and that's just going to be pence or whatever. I don't know. So we kind of talked about how to do this by hand in class, but it's really a huge nightmare. So let's go ahead and use a graphing calculator. Okay, so I got my graphing calculator over here, and I know that most of you don't have one of these at home, but hopefully you can come borrow one in my class or whatever. Okay, so we need to put in these numbers into our statistics in our calculator. So over on our calculator, we're going to go over here, and I'm going to push Stat, and we want to edit our statistics. Let's edit with the things that we have in there. Now I have some data in here from a previous lesson, and remember the way that we edit that data is we're going to go up, push clear, and then hit enter after that, and it's going to put our screen to that. Now we can go ahead and enter our data. We don't need to enter in the p's, again that just kind of means pennies or pence or whatever, so we're going to type in 47, 49, 50, and I'm just pushing enter between all of these numbers, 44, 48, and 44 again. So again, these are the different costs of soda depending on which shop you go to. And so we're going to try to figure out, okay, well, what's the normal cost according to these 6 shops? And not only that, but how far away can we get from that price and still be a reasonable normal price? Okay, so now we've got the data. We're going to push second mode to go back to the home screen. And the awesome thing about this worksheet is pretty much this is going to be done with one button. We're going to, well, one entering thingy. Whatever, you know what I mean. Alright, so let's go ahead and push Stat. And now we want to calculate the mean and the standard deviation. So we're going to go over to Calc, and we're going to push Enter, because we're doing a one variable statistics. We only have one question that we've asked. What's the price of soda? And we've gathered that statistic. We're going to push Enter, and then push Enter again, and it's going to bring up a whole bunch of ugly numbers. Now, if you look right here, this X with the bar on top of it, X bar, that's your mean. It means the same thing. They just use this more in college. Okay, so over on our paper, you can either write X bar or you can write mean. I don't care. Either way, but the mean is going to be 47. Okay. Now the other thing we need to find is standard deviation. Standard deviation is this weird looking thing right here. It's kind of like an O with a tail on the top. Okay. On the answer key, I abbreviated that as SD, or again, if you want to kind of draw it, you've got O with a circle on the top, kind of like that. Okay, that is going to be 2.3. Okay, so what that means is that our mean is 47, Our standard deviation is 2.3. So the normal price of soda in between these shops is 47 pennies, I'm just going to say, and the standard deviation is 2.3. That means that we can go either up or down 2.3 cents, and that's still a normal price according to this data. Okay, let's go ahead and look at number 2. So for number 2, we need to take out our old data and put this new data in. So we'll come back if you want to. I always just clear it. That's like so many numbers right there on the screen. I'm just going to push clear. And let's go back into our list. So we'll just push stat. And then I'm going to push enter to edit that.
Are you talking to yourself?
No. And then we're going up to clear this list, and we'll push enter. And now I'm going to go ahead and type in these numbers. So we've got 86, 88, 84, 79, 81, and 86. Okay, so now we've got all of those numbers. This is a bag of sugar this time. Before we were looking at soda, this time it's sugar. Okay, so now we've entered those numbers. Let's go ahead and go back to the home screen by pushing second and then mode. And here we go. I'm going to go to stat, over to calculate, and then enter to pick one variable statistics, and then we'll push enter one more time. And there we go. Again, X bar is our mean, so our mean is 84. Okay, so the average price of a bag of sugar between these shops is 84. And then our standard deviation is going to be this one right here. It's going to be 3.1. We'll just round it to that, 3.1. Okay, so again, on average with these bags of sugar, we're expecting to pay around 84 pennies or pence, whatever. Okay, but also that it's pretty normal to either go up or down 3.1 pence. Okay, now pretty much the end of this video, I'm just going to kind of look here because that's, hopefully you see that that's so easy. When you have a graphing calculator, you just type those numbers in, tell the calculator to find your one variable statistics, and you write them down. Now the tricky part of this assignment then, since that is so easy, is to kind of interpret that data. So we'll do that here with part B. Okay, so part B says in 6 different shops, so not the original 6 shops, but in 6 different shops, the same bag of sugar has a mean price of 87. Okay, so in these other 6 shops, the mean is 87. Okay, and the standard deviation is 5.2. Okay, and the question is asking us to compare those prices. So in our original 6 shops, the average was 84 cents, but it was normal within those 6 shops to kind of go up or down 3.1 cents each. In these other 6 shops, the average was 87, but it was normal to go up or down 5.2. Okay, so if we're going to make a comparison, what we can say is that the original shops, so the first set, it had a lower average price. On average, it was 84 cents, where the second set, it was 87. Okay, so the first set has a smaller average. Okay. And then we can also just look at the standard deviations. We can say that, hey, the second set, it has a bigger standard deviation. So, you know, where here the average was 87, we might go down. It would be normal to be down 5.2 cents. That's a normal thing. So it would be normal somewhere in these shops to have a price of sugar be around 82 cents. So that would be smaller. Okay, so what I'm going to say here is that the second set of shops, okay, it has a wider spread. The data is more spread out. It's spread out about 5.2. Okay, so I'm going to just write has a wider spread. Okay, the second set has a wider spread. So those are just 2 observations we can make. We can say, hey, the first set has a smaller average, and the second set has a bigger spread. We could also say that the first set has a smaller spread. It doesn't matter, but we just need to list 2 different things comparing kind of what the different shapes of that data is. Okay, I hope that's been pretty helpful. I don't think I can make a video longer than that with my phone. So I hope that helps you. If you need more help, come in and see me before school or after school. I'd be happy to help you.